Wake up, dead man. Yes, that's right, folks. The third and potentially final Knives Out mystery is here. You might recall after the success of the first Knives Out movie, Rian Johnson, the writer and director, signed a very lucrative deal with Netflix to release two sequels. Well, we got Glass Onion a few years ago, which was kind of a COVID movie. Things are getting back on track. We're past the strikes now, past COVID. Let's get our proper Knives Out sequel. Benoit Blanc is back, everybody. Are you excited? I think so. I think there's some relative excitement for this. It's kind of hard to make a franchise today that lasts. Like the ones that have stuck are this and John Wick, I guess, and then everything else is based on other stuff. So, I'm always curious to see where we're going with these types of movies. I love a good whodunit story. I really think Rian Johnson's coming to his own as a director. Like, these movies could have just been nothing. And I think each of them has been really good and fascinating and has a lot of visual language that's just solely to the movie that it is, which is really cool to see. So, Wake Up Dead Man, I'm very excited for this movie. Am I happy that it's getting very limited theatrical releases and is just going to be dumped on Netflix within the next couple of weeks? Of course I'm not. I hate that. I think if Rian Johnson were to make the deal today, he would maybe push for like a Greta Gerwig or a Guillermo del Toro and get these movies into more theaters. Because the showing I went to see this at was a packed house. Same when I saw Glass Onion, same when I saw Knives Out. People have an appetite for these things, so we should put them in cinemas more. I don't know what the metrics are for their releases on Netflix, but I don't know if it's going to be great. I think it'll be fine, but whatever. It's here. Wake Up Dead Man. What song is this title a reference to? I'm not sure. I'd really have to think about it. But I would argue that this might be my favorite of this trilogy. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the material that it's talking about and the comfortability that someone like Johnson has in this world. Like, he is clearly so aware now, like, people have expectations for these things. Let's play with it a little bit. We'll just switch up the formula a little bit. We'll tell the story in a different type of order. He loves Columbo. He loves Agatha Christie. This movie is pretty much about the Hollow Man, which is another one of those like classic noir stories, these murder mystery things. So he's so aware of like the formula to these stories that he knows how to just present it in a unique way. Not that this movie's fully unique. I don't think it is fully unique. But the comfortability and just, yeah, you get it. We can talk about this stuff. We can have stuff be told out of like sequence and have things be revealed that maybe didn't really seem like they were played up before. He gets it. He knows the world. He knows what he's doing. And he's having fun with these worlds and these characters. And I just appreciate that. I appreciate finding comfortability in using a digital camera, moving around this church in this location, and just giving us a very distinct visual language. This is, I don't know what you would say is the most like tragic of the trilogy, but I think this one's playing more into the themes of like mortality and revelation and what it means to be a good person. And maybe that's why this like material works for me a little bit more. Like Knives Out is about like a rich family looking for their inheritance. Glass Onion is about billionaires who build tech and are terrible people. Those movies are about like distinctive people. You can do the Elon Musk comparisons. You can do like the Rupert Murdoch comparisons. It's all there for that stuff. But I think with Wake Up Dead Man, it's more about the place of religion in a changing world, which, you know, there's real life comparisons you can make to that, like these, you know, televangelists that were a big deal in the 80s, or just like these super churches that stream their stuff online and make everything like a huge radical deal. But it's not really about like a specific person and more about the idea of what has become religion and is it okay to do like the radicalization, what is too far in terms of like God's message being spread. And that's all very interesting. I love the concept of religion. I love studying, especially like the Catholicism and like that stuff that they're presenting here. I just find it to be so interested in the topic of religion as opposed to the murder. And I think that's how you change it up for a story like this. We know what the crime is that is being committed here. We know that there's a dead man, that we have to figure out what happened to him. but it's about the priest character played by Josh O'Connor and his crisis of faith. Like, why is he brought to this place? What is his purpose in this place? And that is the driving force of the movie. And it's kind of, I would say, like the least Benoit Blanc led movie. Like, he is definitely a character in here. He's doing a lot of good stuff in here. But this is the story of Father Judd, who's trying to figure out what does he need to do for this church, for these people. Is he truly a righteous man based on the mistakes he made? And is he just looking for a place to put his guilt for the things he's done? And that's the driving story. And I'm like, that is perfect for like a noir murder mystery type of whodunit story, is playing with that theme. And I think it's just really fun. And this aesthetic is just great. You know, there's like the whole conversation within the piece that this is less like a, you know, a gothic old style castle and more just like a, you know, reimagining of like a 19th century church, very Disneyland aesthetic. And like, is that just like the illusion of the church and this kind of stuff? It's really smart about that. And I really like that. And it's just Johnson being really good at the script. This is a really strong script. I think this is a hard type of narrative to weave, and you have to understand every element you're going into to make it work. It's pretty solid. There are a few moments that I think don't work in terms of the actual script. There's some good jokes. This movie references both The Big Lebowski and Ishtar for some reason. And I'm like, what was on your mind when you wrote this, man? That you're referencing Ishtar and The Big Lebowski. Like, those are two movies that don't really fit into this world. But I guess they're kind of about Jesus figures or something. People having a revelation or I don't know. It's so interesting. So weird. But I do like it. And just, I think there's a couple moments where like the actual like, oh, the plotting gets a little too convoluted and there's too many moving parts. But the main focus is about power and love and the church. So it gets that authentic and does that really well. Again, I say this every time we talk about one of these movies. Rian Johnson is one of the best guys working today that knows how to move a digital camera. Like, he knows how to just do the autofocus stuff. He knows where to just like zoom in. He gets it. He knows like how to make this look good, how to make it look modern, while still having like the classic feel of an old school movie. There might be an urge to film this one on like, you know, a little more like film stock, but I'm glad he didn't, because he's really good with the digital way we make this stuff. And I like this cast. I don't know if it's the strongest cast we've seen from some of these movies. They're just it's a lot more oddballs, which I think is really fascinating. So you have Daniel Craig coming back. He has got longer hair. It's less of an internal story about him, even though he does have like a Road to Damascus kind of story where he has like the revelation of his faith. He is just more a passerby watching this world that he finds very interesting, and he does figure out the case. He does solve it at the end, though it's not more about like the personal revelation of the people in this world. It's just more, hey, if I'm here to help you figure out your stuff, that's great. That's kind of the promise of church, isn't it? So I like it. He looks great. Great suits, great attitude. He's having more fun in this role than anybody ever in any movie. Like, I'm just glad he likes doing this, and he's really good at it. And this time around, we have Josh O'Connor, who is our troubled lead character. In the first movie, it was Ana de Armas, and we had Janelle Monáe in the next one. This one's Josh O'Connor. He's a priest who is essentially framed for murder, and it's him figuring out what's really asked of him in this world on a hot streak. To say Josh O'Connor's on a hot streak is pretty pointless. We all know it. He's doing incredible stuff. And this is just solid. Like, he is tough, he is brash, he's playing a younger guy, which I really appreciate, especially when a lot of like the other men in this story, like Daniel Craig, like Josh Brolin, like Thomas Hayden Church, these are older guys, and he is not of that class, so he's playing younger, he's of a different generation, and we're really pushing that in this story, and I think that works really well and gives him a lot to play off of. He is the best part of this movie. He is such an interesting guy who's going to be a star. I think he's a star. Like, he is going to be a very specific character actor that's going to get a lot of chances to work with interesting directors, because you can put him anywhere. If you look at what he did a Kelly Reichardt movie this year, which is coming to streaming soon. He did Lake Chimera recently. He was in Challengers. The dude's picking interesting projects, and it's really working for him because he's building up a resume that not a lot of actors of his generation are building up. And it shows. Like, doing a bigger budgeted Netflix movie with Rian Johnson is not a bad career move whatsoever, because there's a lot to play with in this character. And he figured that out. Same with Josh Brolin, who's having an incredible year of being like a gruff weirdo. Weapons was great for him. This is even better for him. He's just insane. Thomas Hayden Church is just really good at having distinctive facial hair and being an old man. Like, these are two guys, Brolin and Church, that just figured out their shit. Like, this is where we should be in these types of roles. They're incredible. And Glenn Close, I'd say, is the next closest to supporting. Like, she's just talented, and you just clearly know that Johnson's like, oh yeah, I can do something great with you. Let me just give you moments to monologue and scream and be a crazy old woman who's haunted by the devil. And she's fantastic. You have other characters that I think are hit or miss throughout the most part. Kerry Washington gets some moments. Kaylee Spaney gets some moments that I do like. Mila Kunis is very strange in this movie. I'm not against her being in it. It's just like, oh, that's a role that I think anybody could have played. I'm not sure why you cast her specifically. And Jeremy Renner is, interesting in this. The stuff he is asked to do and say about maybe not believing women allegations is interesting. And Andrew Scott plays like a washed up writer. Very and Johnson just likes taking these wacky guys and saying dumb shit about the state of the world. It's like YouTube and just how we elect government officials and politics and scandals. I don't know if I would say Johnson is a very apolitical filmmaker, but he likes to cast very conservative characters in his movies that see the world in like a very specific way, kind of like Manosphere a bit, and he makes them characters that have meaning but still look silly. So I guess his politics are kind of clear, but he's never like abruptly saying these people are worthless. So it's fascinating how he handles that. Maybe I'm completely off base on what Johnson's politics are, but I don't think I am. I think he likes the church though, and I think that's a really important thing. I think you could find other filmmakers playing in this world who would do a story about the church and be against it, but I do think he is comfortable in the understanding of the importance of this. It is the driving force of this movie, is the impact that religion and faith has on you, to your own personal revelations and the world around you, which is very important and something that matters to a lot of people. And I always get upset. This is kind of a digression, but people who say the church is meaningless, I'm like, no, it has definitely had some bumps along the way, but it is meaningful to a lot of people, and having those feelings and those thoughts are important, and they help millions of lives around the world understand their place in it and how to accept the reality that they're a part of. And I think it's very important to present that in a positive light. The church is an interesting thing, and religion itself is an interesting thing. You can never talk shit about it. I never would. I don't think you should. And this is a movie that shows you having a faith in a religion, whether it be God or whatever, or just in your fellow man, is important and something you should have. And I like that, because it's not beating you over the head with it like God is real and everything you do is being judged. It's just, look at this. This is a guy who was broken, and he found this thing that heals him, and it's what he was made to do and help people in that capacity. Some people get lost along the way and they corrupt the image of that. But maybe you have to learn the truth about what this is supposed to be to truly find your remedy for healing. And just watching insane shit happen in some biblical aesthetic, like a tomb door breaking down, just people in big robes running through the forest. It's there, and it looks good. And it's incredibly well acted, incredibly well written, very funny, very charming, just a lot of people having a good time. And I can't be mad at a movie for being exactly what it wants to be, which is what these movies are. It's a shame we're not getting a robust theatrical run, but enough people seem to be going to these limited screenings, and that makes it worth it. That is at least something to love and believe in. So I like that. I like that a lot, and I like this movie quite a bit. Very fun. God bless you. This thanks American Thanksgiving. I'm Canadian. You know, I had Thanksgiving a while ago. Why not put this out at Easter time? That makes a lot of sense. So, Wake Up, Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. Maybe the last Knives Out mystery. I am going to give an 8 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.